Red alert. Set an intention. Go to Salon Trek.
Captain's log supplemental. Commander Chakote was injured. But I want you to know, you can use logic to justify almost anything. Janeway out.
Ahoy, hoy, friends. Welcome to the Salon. I am the technical difficulties and the theta radiation link called Stan Williams. Tonight, now that my new browser is working properly, we will be talking about Star Trek Voyager Season 5. And we found it. We found a good one. Get excited. At least this first half. That's my opinion. We'll see if the crew agrees. You know, we've been having fun with Voyager. There have been some bangers. There have been some real stankers. Tonight, we'll see. Before we begin all of the podcast things, no visuals. Don't even need them. Don't worry about it. You know, we are at Salon Trek on YouTube. You're here on YouTube perhaps right now. Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. at Salon Trek. The next thing that I say, because I don't need a visual cue, is we are also at Salon Trek everywhere else except for social media, specifically Instagram, where we are at the Salon Trek. Everywhere else, we are still at Salon Trek, including the other one that I don't need a visual cue for. I'm doing great. This is not radiation sickness. Patreon.com/Salon Trek /Salon Trek. You can support us and replace me. Like, listen, like, get rid of this trash. We need your money. Replace it. Get something better. We need a producer, obviously. Girl, it's a mess. $5 or more a month can get us there and get you a bonus episode. Happy Pride. It's June 2026, and this month's Voyager Conspiracy is a banger of a commentary. So get excited for that. And I'm just going to cut my losses while I can and beam in the crew, starting with someone who I know is going to have a whole lot of feedback for me. The best number one you've got. Here he is. Trevor, how are you?
A little tart.
Yeah, that's the theme for me this evening as well. What are you drinking?
Lemon drop.
Lemon drop?
No, that's just my nickname for you.
Speaking of
nicknames, lemon, tart.
Speaking of little tarts, here's Will. How are you?
I was hoping you were going to go with speaking of
and speaking of Will and also on the YouTube channel at Salon Trek, you can find Will and I playing Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown, including this week with special guest, friend of the pod, Kirsten Beyer. It is perhaps our most unhinged interview yet.
I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of this one. I got to ask a lot of really dumb questions. We had a very thoughtful conversation. She's lovely.
She prefers a bee in the butt.
Apparently, yes.
And she thinks Janeway was wrong, and we saved Tuvix. Kidding. She just wanted to explore the path not taken. So Tuvix will be continuing on in our journey. And speaking of continuing on in a journey, here's Benji. Benji, how's Canada? How are you?
It's great. I had a whole thing lined up where I was going to say, I'm not a little tart, I'm the whole pie. But you kind of...
You are the whole pie, Benji. That's good. Clap. Sound off in the chat for Benji. And speaking of sounding off, here's Krista. How are you, Krista? You're on mute, which is...
Her sound was off. She was sounding off. Off.
I was sounding off. I just drank the bug that fell in my wine.
He went out in style.
He did. Right in my gut.
Speaking of bugs, here's Matt. How are you?
I was hoping it would be, speaking of going out in style, or like speaking of the whole pie.
Or being in my gut.
I'm not a top.
Speaking of having things in their guts, here's Matt.
There it is. There's the signal.
Speaking of whole.
Speaking of the whole package, here's Joanne. Joanne, how are you? Save us, please.
I was going to say cherry pie.
My pie hasn't had a cherry in a long time.
The internet knows.
Wow.
Get excited, everybody. We are talking about Star Trek Voyager Season 5. It's a fun season. We're going to have fun with it, as we already have. But before we do, I'm going to continue to vamp until I can see my co-host again for us to do the next thing, which is what we are doing following this, and more after the break. The break has ended now, and what I am going to encourage everyone to do is go to all of our social media at Salon Trek. Follow us, share with us, and thank God he's back. Trevor, for the love of God, never do that to me again. We need to set an intention.
This is obvious, but don't forget to set an intention when you light it, or you're just going to be wasting the wax.
I thought you handled that beautifully.
Thank you so much.
There wasn't a hint of panic in your voice. Speaking of panic, I thought it would be fun. We went around the room in honor of Ride of Chaotica. I thought it would be fun if we went around the room and everyone shared what crazy ass fiction they would drag the Salon crew into with them on a holodeck adventure. As always, I will start us off by sharing. This is going to sound dirtier than I intended at first, but then it'll be dirty. Anyway, I'm taking us all to Fantasy Island. I don't care what the rest of you do, but Raf and I are going to hang out with Ricardo Montalban because that's my fantasy. That being said,
problematic gay alert.
There wasn't anything remotely problematic about me, Raphael, and Ricardo Montalban. How dare you? Benji, my love, what fantastical fictional adventure are you taking the Salon crew on?
Well, I thought that like a Curb Your Enthusiasm situation featuring all of us, but based in Palm Springs.
Come on out. Or down.
Kind of work. As long as I get to be gay Larry David.
That's
I
fun.
can see it. I can see it.
Krista, my dear.
Oh, it's me already.
Remember that show you do every Thursday night?
I'm sorry, because I was looking at something else. I really just didn't even like this question. And
well, then fuck you, Matt.
I'm sorry. I had lots of trouble coming up with something, and then
well, then just change it.
No, because I couldn't come up with a better one. So I don't see the point of a stun. I'm going to take the crew to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and they're going to be in the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That's amazing.
Who is who? Name us all right now.
Yeah. We're all cast it. You stepped on it now. Cast the show. Go.
Who's Janet? Who's the doctor?
Okay.
This is going to be a 2-hour salon. Everybody. Don't worry about
Brad is going to be Chakotay because I don't really. Well, he could be Chakotay or he could be Eddie because Eddie ultimately dies, so that's okay. But Frankenfurter, I think Tuvok should be Frankenfurter. Janet, let's give Janet to little Naomi Wildman. Who's infiltrated I didn't cast it, fuckers. I just came up with the idea.
Okay.
That's it.
I thought you were going to cast us as.
So did I.
Like,
but she changed the question. I thought you were going to cast us because we're all going into the holodeck to play Rocky Horror.
I misunderstand it every time.
But that makes it so much better, Krista. It truly, truly does. That this is a treat for everyone.
It made my night.
This was destined to happen on Bride of Chaotica night. Like this is it. I love everything about.
You didn't say it right. You're supposed to trill the R and say
Bride of Chaotica.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Matt. Where are you taking us?
You know, wherever I was taking us. Now, after this tonight, we are doing a group holodeck excursion to How to Podcast for Dummies and to the Betty Ford Clinic. So
it's for quitters, but that's fine. It's fine.
Okay, I'm doing a custom holodeck program, and it's gonna be one of those. You bring somebody in, like like they do in corporate America to teach you how to. It's going to be teaching us how to do a podcast at Cheers.
Oh,
and it's
that's
just going to
fun.
be everybody sitting around drinking while we watch someone teach us how to attempt to do this.
That would be a fun set. Speaking of a fun set, Will.
I had the Muppets because I think, like Joel suggested, that we are basically human puppets.
Except Krista's the only human.
Yeah, Krista's the only human, but the rest of us are Muppets.
Are we existing Muppets, or we're just ourselves as Muppets?
We're ourselves as Muppets.
Okay. I'm kind of obsessed. Okay. All right. Joanne, where are you taking us, dear?
We would all enter the Bring It On multiverse.
Oh.
And I'm Big Red.
There. It is cold in here.
It is. Yeah, there must be some Tauros in the atmosphere. I'm obsessed with all of your answers. Stanley?
Same. I struggled with this because there are so many opportunities. I think it would be really funny to use Star Trek technology to go into a different galaxy far, far away and be in the Star Wars universe. Laser swords. Pews.
Laser swords that can cut everything except other laser swords.
Because logic.
Makes total sense.
Anyway,
the intentions are set.
They are. And now we are done. Good night, everybody. And now begins the real fun. For those who shan't recall, for the Voyager Thumb Wars series, and in fact, all of our Thumb Wars series, Trevor is going to read an episode synopsis. It will not be good because he did not write it. And then we will discuss the episode as we are wont to do. 1 to 8 of us will have something to say. And then we will vote in the most scientifically accurate way to judge television with our thumbs, either up, down, or sideways. Trevor, can you do me a favor real quick?
Sure.
Start this war.
Star Trek Voyager Season 5, Episode 1, Night. Voyager enters an expanse of space where no stars are visible, and it will take 2 years to cross. The lack of starlight causes morale issues with the crew. Janeway questions the choices that stranded the crew far from home. It's actually not a bad one to kick things off with. Speaking of not bad to kick things off with, Matt, why don't you talk about this one first?
Okay.
You're not sure how to take that, are you? You're still trying to decide. Was I friend or foe with that introduction?
I thought I would just roll with it, much
You'll
like
never know.
this episode.
You know, I love you. Shut up and talk.
This is a good episode tonight already. This night, I think, gives us a sense of what I think Voyager should have had more of the whole time, which is that, like,
how many flies you got in that apartment, Krista? There's one in the wine that you already drank. Did you?
She's
get that
hungry.
one?
She needs an hors d'oeuvre.
I think word's out, and they're actually coming after her. They're like, she took one of our own and she ate it.
This fucking apartment is the mouth of hell.
Now she must die.
The mouth of fucking hell.
Let's do this.
Here, I thought she was agreeing with me. Anyway,
I was not.
Okay. Please clap. I really do think this episode has a lot, and genuinely, we finally get to see the crew under pressure where they really should have been without having contact with anyone. Like, just because you can't see stars doesn't mean that there isn't like a pressure cooker of everyone having, because normally a Federation ship would like get to dock places and like see other. So like, I'm glad that they touch on that, like the crew morale being low, and seeing Janeway in this. I think we finally got to see a Starfleet captain have the correct response of having a meltdown. Like, she locks herself in. She still does all of her duties. Like, she doesn't make a big deal out of it. The crew doesn't really know what's going on. she just shuts herself away and says, everybody else can handle this. I need time on my own. And then you get that incredible, we get introduced to the, the Malon, which are a fantastic enemy. You get to have that parallel with capitalism. I wish they would have gone a little farther on that, because like the reason they don't want to take the technology back is because they don't want to like lose money for themselves, which is perfect Star Trek allegory. Like, and then you have, they're abusing that. Like it's the perfect parallel to corporate. It's AI. I mean, we're dumping a bunch of toxic shit on people that can't fight back, that are ignored, that are literally in the dark. Like it has so many poignant messages. I really think everybody should go back and rewatch it, because I really think it was fantastically done. And you get one of my favorite scenes where it's Janeway coming on at the end and saying that she's going to take a shuttle and sacrifice herself, and everyone being like, yeah, you're not doing that, Captain. Like, snap out of it. Like, okay, sad time's done. And you can see her shift and realize and remember why she does what she does. And she has that moment of levity with the crew and that joke of like, you could all be hanged for mutiny. Like, it's just such a touching, like one of those moments that just like it really kicks it into like, okay, let's save these people and also pull this off and save the day. And then you have that beautiful shot with the nebulas and everything at the end. Night is one of my favorite episodes. I think it is so good because you have so many good character moments of Neelix really trying to do his best for the morale. We always shit on Neelix, but like he is really trying.
I was close to agreeing with you, and then you had to compliment Neelix. My transition phrase was going to be, Trevor, note the date and time. I agree with Matt. And then you started complimenting Neelix.
But he does, because he pulls Chakotay away and says like, hey, we haven't seen her in a while. Like he does. We give him shit. He did a great job in this episode. So I'm giving that.
He served his purpose. Yes, I will agree. Yeah. I agree with you. I love this episode as well. Rewatching it post pandemic is also really interesting, because watching Janeway's demeanor change when they can't be distracted by whatever random bullshit is nearby that they want to explore, or until they do meet something that they have to fight. It reminded me of some moments during the height of the pandemic where it's like, no, you really need to like engage with your choices, and you're staying at home, so you've got nothing to do but think about it for the most part. But yeah, I think there were excellent performances in this episode all around, including like I will throw in my lot with who I am not usually want to compliment, but I thought Robert Beltran in this episode did a lovely job. His counterpoint with the captain and the rest of the crew was really good. And so, yeah, started off with a good, this is a good start to the season of like, let's take a moment to breathe and reflect, introduce an interesting alien, have a really Trek story with, like you were saying, the capitalism, the waste, and saving the day. All around really good start.
And I also want to say the one underrated moment of Chakotay and Tuvok, because he pulls him aside and like it was that moment of like, you've known her. I know I'm the first officer, but I'm out of my depth with her. And he gets that moment where the two of them are like, I still don't really like you, but like, we know she needs help. We know mom needs help right now. And we both, like, the two fighting siblings need to come together and be like, oh shit, something's happening. Like, there's so many layers to this episode. And the great, like, walk and talk with, like, Janeway and the Malon going through, you get the beautiful scenery of the internal of the warp core and everything, with B'Elanna then freaking out, and you see her pressure and she snaps of like, you did all this just so that we would like, anyway.
I've always appreciated that this episode leans outside of its premise, or the premise of the show, in that it's giving us something not super formulaic. It's just sort of a different approach to Voyager. It's Voyager in a different light. The thing that pisses me off is that it's actually leaning into what the premise of the show was supposed to be like. And so I get frustrated for all of the episodes that aren't this, because this to me is a lot of fun. It's for all of the reasons that Matt said, except that Neelix thing. I'm teasing. And more. It's a delightful episode. I thoroughly enjoy it.
I think it's like interesting for the Janeway character because I think I wasn't here for this part of season 3, but there's like a progression to the character. Like I really love early like season 1-2 Janeway, where she's like young and fresh and it's her first command and she's interested in science. And then like somewhere mid season 3, it like she's starting to change. Like she's up against like more bad guys and she's taking on, all of this, pressure of being stuck in the Delta Quadrant. And she really becomes like a much more embittered character. And like by the time we get to this beginning of season 5, we have a person who now is like, I think like living in like a state of hypervigilance, and she's learned to thrive in chaos. And now they're not in it, and she can't function until there is chaos again. And then you can see her like starting to light up like, oh, there's a problem I can solve. So like there is something like they really need a therapist on board to unpack that with her, because that is not healthy. Another thing I just want to say, I think it's a little stupid that you can't see, like you should be able to see the stars. There's no reason you should.
But there is astrophysics with this. There's astrophysics with this. I was hoping someone would bring it up. There are.
Do you want to fill us in?
There are actual like parts of space-time where we're not entirely sure what's happening, but there are literal voids. Now it's a much bigger expanse. It would be like galaxy spanning, but it's very interesting because it's where the gravitational forces of stars are actually coming together and pulling themselves away. So it creates this vacuum, and we have no idea what the physics that are in that vacuum. Anyway,
it would make it would work. You're both pretty ladies. It would work much better if they weren't where they are in the galaxy, and they actually show us on a map later where they are in the galaxy. Therefore, it doesn't really work because they're actually traveling closer to the core. It's not. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing up the map, because I think that this is like one of the first times where a starship has like traveled this far. I thought it would have been really interesting, like scientific continuity, if they would have known this ahead of time if they were crossing galactic arms. So like what happens when a starship has to cross galactic arms to the next arm? Not going to be as many planets. Like this should be something they're familiar with. And I would just like Star Trek to tie that kind of stuff in a little more. And it didn't do an awesome job of that in the 90s. I think now they are. But I would have really liked that. I think the lack of stars does make sense for the episode, because they're in like, a psychological void as much as they are in a void in space. So it works like as an artistic choice. One last point about this episode. I don't know if anybody else agrees. I always thought it was really egregious that Janeway blew up the Malon ship and killed all those motherfuckers at the end. It was always a little much for me. I would like Star Trek to be a little more intentionally careful about stuff like that and not just blow up ships at random when they don't have to.
I agree ish. I think it's partial. It's at least insinuated that the ship is also like falling apart because of its purpose. But it would be.
Well, didn't she say like time to take out the garbage?
Yeah, it would have been nice if they were able to. It would have been nice if they were able to pull the ship along with them and like drop them out while they blew up the wormhole. So they're like, you can't do that anymore. But
I think the justification there was that they were like detonating the spatial charges, trying to destroy Voyager. Like, I think that it was Janeway was using that self-defense, like.
She seemed a little too happy about it.
She was bullish.
It was more Bond than Janeway, but we'll allow it because it was the 90s, and unfortunately the 90s experienced one of their worst James Bonds. Shall we show our thumbs, or does anyone else have comments on Night?
I want to know which Bond you're talking about now, because there are some bangers in the 90s too.
We'll argue about this on a different salon. Show me your thumbs for Night. tisn't up. That was more a dig at the actor playing the character, not the films themselves. There were some good films with some rough actual bonds in them. Anyway.
Yes.
Let us move on to season 5, episode 2, Drone. A transporter accident merges Seven's nanoprobes with the Doctor's mobile emitter, causing an extremely advanced Borg drone to be created. Seven discovers her maternal nature as she rises to educate the young drone. It felt more sisterly to me, but whatever.
Yeah.
Thanks, Google, for being gross. I think it would be great if Will kicked this one off and probably turned it over to Krista before she implodes. Or pees herself.
Sure.
One of the two is about to happen.
Something's happening. I like this episode. I think it's pretty high concept. It's interesting, like what happens when you have a piece of technology, that's what. Well, there's this episode has 2 plot holes in it that revolve around the mobile emitter that we can talk about that always kind of throw me. But a piece of technology that's more advanced. Yeah, there's two plot holes in here this episode, but what happens when that gets either hijacked or someone finds out about it or some mistake happens. It's like the Borg equivalent of Tuvix in a weird way, but I don't know. It's fun. It's high concept. I kind of like what is going on with Seven having to kind of like mentor someone who is to do the thing that she is mentor someone in the same way she has been mentored. That Google description is awful, but I think it's interesting. The sacrifice at the end is pretty good. I think it's fun. I think it's an interesting episode, especially this early in the season. But overall, I think it's really well written. It's tight and it makes a lot of sense. The plot holes. So I'll throw these out there. So the mobile emitter it's from the 29th century, but it's referred to once as being 500 years in the future and then later 400 years in the future. So that's wrong. And then the drone goes away, but how do they retrieve the mobile emitter? It's in his cerebral cortex. So how do they get it back? But it's there the next episode. Shenanigans. So anyway, throw that out there.
You're not wrong.
Cover that plot hole.
The shenanery of it all was disruptive. I understand. Yeah. My only note on the entire episode is the single line, "You are hurting me." That just gets me every time when the drone is like, and Seven's like, "You can't do this." Krista, I have a feeling you might have some thoughts on this episode. No.
No. I mean,
it was more the reaction to the description. It was driving.
It was the reaction to the description, but it cannot be denied that they're trying to do this whole maternal thing, which is trite, and I don't want to discuss it. I think probably the thing that bothers me most, and it's been going on for some time now, is the lemonading of Borg and Borg technology, and how suddenly it's not this thing on the horizon that is a danger. It's a thing that we can use logic to manipulate and use to our advantage. And it's kind of it's a narrative manipulation that I don't like. They're either bad or they're not. I mean, it's like they've destroyed lots of things. They absorbed entire cultures and populations, and there's just no lemonading that. And yet it seems like every time they run into some kind of technological problem, it's like, well, let's use the Borg nanites and we can fix this. And for me, that's just late. It's just lazy. It's like, just leave them as they were. Don't try to make me like them. I'm not.
Especially if you're going to make a whole point about like we're beyond Borg space now. Like,
yeah,
I get that they have transwarp corridors or whatever that are increasingly convenient as this series goes on to the bitter end.
As our
nanoprobes. Like, yeah, the logic of like, well, this mobile emitter is from the 29th century, therefore this is the most advanced drone on whatever. But A great performance from Jerry Ryan. Arturis being back so soon is interesting. I thought it was interesting that they didn't just have the guy who played Mulcahy be this drone, since they took his DNA for it. But yeah, the actor who played Arturis and this drone is fine. So whatever.
As would I have, but
also that. And you know what? I'm going to count it because
thanks.
Those breastplates be making me think things.
Problematic gay alert.
It's making Krista empty a bottle. She's like, I need more for this. Any other thoughts on drone?
Episode 2.
We're only on episode. It's just getting drunker from here, y'all.
I didn't much care.
I love this episode.
Okay.
Benji, you're the tiebreaker. No pressure.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's all right. Everything's going to be fine. Season 5, Episode 3, Extreme Risk. Torres, I hate when they do this. They start a sentence with the possessive form of Torres, and I've been drinking. Season 5, Episode 3, Extreme Risk. Torres's associates are troubled by her increasingly reckless behavior, such as orbital skydiving. And Lieutenant Paris launches a new type of shuttle.
Torres's associates are...
and Paris is launching a shuttle.
Torres and Associates.
Right,
Call
like,
us now.
At the law offices of Belana Torres and Associates. Have you been wronged by a warp core ejection? Anyway, Stan, could you talk us through this somewhat interesting and also troubling episode?
Yeah. We've talked about how Star Trek does with things like grief and faith. And there's a lot of hit and miss for both of those. I think this is one where they get very close in a lot of ways. Roxanne Dawson gives a wonderful performance in this episode. I fully believe the level of grief and despair that B'Elanna is going through. As somebody who lives with depression, not to that degree, thankfully. I've never wanted to cease to exist, but yeah, it's a rough roller coaster at times, and it makes sense. Like we learned a few episodes ago in the previous season what happened to the Maquis now that they're in rough contact with Starfleet, or at least they got some messages and they know what happened. They've been pushing to get home, and we've talked about like the desire to get home this entire time, but for a lot of the Maquis, B'Elanna included, it's also getting back to a cause that they firmly believe in. And so to have that taken away while you can't do anything about it, like the powerlessness, you can really feel it in Roxanne's performance. I also, again, twice in one night, Robert Beltran's performance in this episode with her, like their relationship. These are the things that I wish Voyager explored more deeply. I'm very thankful that they only had that one episode where there was a weird, like she kind of had a crush on him at one point and then brushed it aside. I can believe that. Like, yeah, I don't know this person that well. I have a bit of a crush. Now I know him. He's more of a brother. Like, I wish they explored that more because we see a lot of it in this episode. Putting yourself at risk is very real. And seeing that in a Star Trek episode is something I can appreciate, because I think for all the good that we see in Star Trek and like encouraging people to become doctors and engineers, also seeing these characters struggle with things that we in the real world today in the 90s and today in 2026, and how it doesn't have to, you don't have to bear that alone, is seeing that in Star Trek is really powerful for me. You don't have to bear it alone is a wonderful lesson to see in a Trek episode. And again, she performs it beautifully.
I don't want to get too depressing on this episode, but I will say, as somebody that has and continues and will always probably like struggle with things like this was a very accurate portrayal of somebody that just doesn't want to be here anymore and just said, you know what, I've been hanging on because I have my profession, and I've been hanging on because I am the engineer, and I am the one that keeps the ship going. And then finally getting to the point where you're like, everyone I've known has left me. I don't have anything to return to. Like, and then pushing her instant reaction to just push everyone away and to say, I don't want your help. I know that you're there. I know you're there, and I know I can reach out, but I don't want that because I don't want you to feel bad for me. I don't want your help because I can do this, and I'm deciding what it's her so desperate to have control over something and to have the control that she needs, and not realize how far down that she has slid in this, and then to be surrounded by people that brought her back up against her will almost, in a way that I really do. I cannot talk about Roxanne's performance in this enough. Like, the way she nails every moment of this, even when she's talking to the computer of like, no, override, I don't care, turn off the safeties, I want to see, because she's in that mania of, I just don't want to feel this anymore. Like, I don't care what happens, I will do anything to get away from this. And to have that interrupted, and then that's why she just lashes at, like, I honestly think this is one of the most poignant, this entire beginning of the season is great, but like this episode specifically is, for her character, gives a depth that we don't see in, I want to say we don't see this in hardly any other character on Star Trek.
To Benji's earlier point, this is a great example of why the ship's counselor position should not have been so sort of mocked and relegated as it was, particularly post TNG. I mean, we get a station counselor in Esri Dax, but we don't. Basically, they just didn't want to have the Dax symbiont move from one science officer to another, so they just were like, what else are we missing? The placing a counselor on DS9 was not because they valued the role, it was because they needed a spot to plug in Dax. So it's weird that they made a conscious decision not to have a counselor on Voyager. To Matt's point earlier, the portrayal is one that I think does an amazing job of highlighting the disease speaking and not the person. The disease is speaking through the person. When the depression takes hold and doesn't let what she knows it is the monster inside, rejecting all help, rejecting all hope, rejecting all assistance. And it's interesting. I don't know Roxanne's story. I don't know how she's able to sort of tap into that, but she portrays it in a way that is frighteningly real. My biggest gripe is that it's sort of buttressed with a story about the Delta Flyer. Make this its own episode, or don't have that B plot. Give us a different B plot, but like the B plot is weird mixed in with that journey for her. Also, it does give a very 90s Trek vibe of like, we cured depression in 46 minutes. Like it's a little too like, she'll be fine, everything's good, we're never going to really talk about this again. They do touch on a little bit, but like the crisis is over, so she's fine is a little irresponsible in my opinion. And so for that, I have a little bit of a struggle with the episode outside of her portrayal. Her portrayal is brilliant. The rest of it's a little rough.
I do just want to say I actually kind of like the Delta Flyer as the B plot because it is one of those like you get to see someone at the darkest, deepest time, and then you get to see somebody else that like, what do you mean? I'm like creating.
I built a spaceship. Like it's a little
like, but then she has. What I liked is that she was there and she was like, I could not give less of a flying Delta fuck about what you are doing in this goddamn holodeck, and I did really appreciate. And anyway, yeah, that's my.
But I know Benji will appreciate that. I think the Delta Flyer should have been the Aero Shuttle, because I know he's an Aero Shuttle fan. So simply highlight that. Anyone else? Thoughts on Extreme Risk before we thumb it? Then thumb it for me, my friends. Very good, very, very good. Boop. Very well. Season 5, episode 4, In the Flesh. No, not like that.
Mm-hmm.
An alien species simulates Starfleet's San Francisco headquarters, training their own to pose as humans to invade Earth. I think it's weird that they didn't name them in the Google review, but anyway. Benji, I thought it'd be a hoot if you took this one.
Oh, sure. I love this episode probably because it takes place on something that's kind of like Earth, but isn't. I just like Earth-based episodes. I kind of like some of the campy direction that they go with things. They sort of actually do that a bit this season, where some of the aliens and their portrayals are getting a little campy, etc., etc. I want to use this instead as a platform to rewrite Star Trek Voyager a little bit because we love doing that here. I would like everyone to picture this episode as the finale of Star Trek Voyager, because I don't think it got an appropriate one. Spoilers for Kristen, anybody else who hasn't gone to the end yet. But like, picture that Voyager stumbles upon these training grounds for 8472 where they're going to invade Earth. They're like, hours, minutes, days away from invading, whatever. And Voyager has to like book it back to Earth to save things like immediately, like yesterday. And so they need a way to get home now. It is maybe Seven instead of future Janeway who devises a way for them to get to the Transwarp hub to get home, or however they do it. And then the action of the episode takes place at Earth. There's a bit of a skirmish so that they can actually use their nano probe torpedoes, which don't make sense, but whatever. And then they can end the episode the same sort of Star Trek-y way where they make peace with them, like they did at the end of this episode. The reason I propose this and why I've always wanted this to be how Voyager ended is because Voyager A needed to get home under its own steam using their own ingenuity, and it needed to culminate in them using what they learned in the Delta Quadrant to save Earth. And like the nanoprobe torpedo technology, like Janeway went through this whole thing where she allied herself with the Borg to develop the technology. That is the thing that they bring back to Earth to save the day. Is it great? No, but it accomplishes those things for me. And so you're all going to listen to my headcanon story at the end.
I almost fully support, because my problem with this episode is I like it, but it makes no fucking sense. Number one, running into 8472 this soon annoys me. That we just stumble upon them, like they can seemingly enter into our galaxy anywhere, and they put this recreation of Starfleet right in Voyager's path home. Like, what?
The only Federation ship they've ever encountered, by the way.
Like,
they are a little stupid, if we can all agree.
Yes, I do love that the actor who played Boothby got to do some fun stuff on Voyager. His next one is, but this was really cool. I liked the woman who was Chakotay's potential love interest. I also love that like that could absolutely not happen, but like the the anthropomorphic whatever of it all is interesting. I like that we get 8472 to be less evil, menacing, because I don't like they're just evil existing in Trek. We'll get there again when we get to season 4 of Strange New Worlds, I'm sure. But I think this came too soon, and I like your reimagining of it being part of the finale instead of what we got. I do enjoy a lot about the finale, but I think I this just came too soon.
I want to also say, I think, Benji, for your headcanon, again, Krista hasn't seen the finale, so I'm not going to spoil too much, but I do think it could have been. Yeah, you don't care. She's like, I'm going to watch it either way.
She famously loves the show in every way, so we should be very careful so that she can just enjoy it as she is wont to do.
How dare you ruin Krista's favorite Trek?
But here's my thing, Benji. I think with what this episode laid the groundwork of, I think it could have been that we get that finale that we get, the whole thing and all. And 8472 is what comes in and helps stop the Borg to help get Janeway home. Like, I think that could have been, because then we get the full thing of like, oh, you helped the Borg, and then we realized, oh shit, we picked the wrong side. And 8472 gives them the, like, we understand it wasn't your fault, it wasn't our fault. Here, let us help you because you helped us. Like, I think that could have been a nice bow tie on the end of it.
And at least it's an alliance from the Delta Quadrant that helps
like
them.
You have the Borg,
not like
the Borg follow them through the transwarp hub, and then all of a sudden Voyager's like, oh my god, we let this Borg armada in orbit of Earth, and then 8472 comes in and helps destroy them and close the rift, and then goes away.
I see your 8472, but I raise you a Unimatrix 0 actually defending Starfleet and Earth from 8472 and the collective, and then just sort of wrapping up, and then we never have to deal with Picard season 3.
Welcome to the fanfic writers' room that is Salon and the anti-Picard season 3 rewrite. We're doing it.
Shall we show our thumbs for In the Flesh?
But there's still as many Sovereign class in season 3, so it's.
Oh god, I have to do math all of a sudden. Wait a minute. Wait. Oh god. Okay, it's a sideways. I think. Yeah, it's a sideways. Math is hard. I quote that one 80s Barbie doll when I say math is hard. It happened. It's not my fault. Season 5, episode 5. Once upon a time. Neelix is assigned the responsibility of caring for a crew member's daughter when the child's mother is injured on board the Delta Flyer. The actual description says on board the Delta. Because apparently Google is on a first name basis with the Delta Flyer. I went ahead and fixed.
That's Miss Flyer to you.
It's if Google? You're nasty. If you're nasty. Not nasty. Joanne, kick this one off, Mama.
So this was an interesting journey for me. I absolutely hated this the first time I saw this. A, Neelix. Ugh. B, insufferable holodeck creatures and stories and that sort of thing. But this time, maybe because I still don't like it, let me just say that. But I appreciated, I guess, some of the themes it raised. In some ways, it was an interesting kind of follow-up, I think, to Mortal Coil, right? In that, Neelix is really dealing with the residue of his own kind of deconstructed faith and beliefs. He can't even come to terms with. He can't even say, at the beginning to Naomi that his family's dead. He can't process this because I think he doesn't know where he stands or what he kind of believes. And I thought, that's very interesting. But I also thought it was a classic sort of case of how our parents' stuff inadvertently becomes, kind of our stuff, or they at least kind of transfer what they're dealing with and onto you. And if I can be a little transparent, it's a big reason why I don't have children. Because I'm like, oh, I don't ever want to pass on my shit to some innocent, right? So so I thought those were really kind of interesting questions to kind of wrestle with. I don't know that they connected the dots as well as they could have, you know what I mean? But I also appreciated that because, whenever you see sort of children introduced, you're like, oh, this shit is going down the toilet. They had to bring in a cute kid. But Naomi was not the problem here, right?
Yeah.
And I appreciated that. And she was, the way she was written and the way she handled it, and that the issue was, don't fucking lie to me, right? Tell me what is, which is a lesson we all can learn. So I thought the bones were there, right? Even if it was a bizarro package. Like the package was enough to kind of make me go, oh, I don't want to see this shit. But once I kind of let that go, I was just like, oh, it raises interesting questions, right? So it wasn't as bad as I thought, right? I still don't enjoy it just because, like I said, Neelix makes me sick. But it wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible.
Yeah, I agree. I like your connection to Mortal Coil because I think that's spot on. This is sort of like the next emanation of his godfathering of now, and I believe this is Scarlett's first episode. She is now the third but final Naomi Wildman, and yeah, child actors are often terrible. Scarlett Palmer did an excellent job. I don't always love the insertion of Naomi into some of the stories that she gets put into for various reasons, but I think for a child actor, she does a great job. She's exactly what she's supposed to be. She's precocious, and she offers the childlike or the actual child perspective of whatever's happening to the crew in that moment. And she's going to have some wonderful moments with Seven later on. I think this is where Neelix gets at least a little more interesting. And, we've said it a bunch of times. If he was a father figure to Kes, it would have been at least not creepy and problematic. And we're seeing as a godfather, like he does a good job with her. He's very cute with, aside from the lying, you clocked that for sure. But generally speaking, he does really well with her. Yeah, the fodder of it all, I appreciate them giving us something new. Like, I mean, it would make zero sense, but like throwing her into a Dickens story or a Dixon Hill, like just giving us some bullshit that we've already seen on the holodeck. At least it's some new whatever. And in the Una McCormick took this for her Janeway autobiography and did a really good job with Catherine Janeway's mom contributed to some of the Flodder stories, which I thought was like just a cute flushing out of her parents' story as well.
I did think that was
whatever.
I thought that was a nice touch too, that everybody on the crew kind of had a connection to Flodder. Like this was the story of everybody's sort of youth. I thought that was a nice little touch of world building, actually.
Yeah. It was like their Care Bears or their
it was a common mythology, right, for them.
Yeah.
So, and given the nature of kind of Flodder, it also made sense why it would be appealing to science-y, Starfleet-y kind of types, right? It was very analytical, very problem solving. It was a very nice touch of world building. I give them credit for that.
Yeah. Janeway's bit at the end was cute. She's like, yeah, I flooded this whole forest naturally. I'm a scientist.
I think my only criticism of this episode is the same that I give for a lot of the episodes that I enjoy, but wish there was some sort of connection to the greater story, which is this is a great example of what Voyager could be as a generational ship, this type of story. Like what, but it's been 5 years and no other child has been born on Voyager. And the only child born on Voyager, the mother happened to be pregnant when they got lost. Like none of these people are getting together and or starting families. None of the people they've rescued have been interested in remaining, except for the Neelix and Cass. Like it frustrates me that there's not a sense of continuation there.
Will
Especially
said
with
they're all
Samantha
medium
there.
ugly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's true. But medium ugly
Except-
people get together all the time. Have you been to Florida?
Yeah, and I think count it just clicked.
There goes our Florida ratings.
Yeah. Counter to Will's point, I think Samantha Wildman is a beautiful woman, and I like where is she? Like they finally remember that like she has a mother, or wait, no, I'm thinking ahead. There's a lot of Naomi story happening, and they just forget that she has a mom later.
Krista, you had your hand up.
I was just going to say, along with what you were talking about in the world building, it makes it kind of it makes the episode a little sadder for me, because later on in the first 13, when they are being fed another avenue for them to get home immediately, Naomi's like, this is my home, because she literally doesn't know anything else. And that is a little unrealistic. And so it is nice that it's kind of like what Sesame Street or Mr. Rogers, or it has that same world building built in, where she's never been to Earth. This is her home. She doesn't know anything else. She has no playmates. There's nobody her age, but at least these adults can relate to her within this program. And I think that's kind of the way Mr. Rogers worked. It's the way Sesame Street worked. It's the way Electric Company worked. It is how adults communicated with children through generations of children. So, yay PBS.
Reading Rainbow.
Yep.
Shall we show our thumbs?
Take a look.
Oh, sorry.
I was just aggressively saying to take a look. It's in a book.
You were.
I'm sorry.
That butterfly in the sky was frightened. Oh, look at that. We're unanimous.
We are as one.
Indeed. Indeed we are. Season 5, Episode 6, Timeless. 15 years after Voyager crashes, sole survivors Chakotay and Ensign Kim return to the icy site, hoping to change the crew's fate. Captain Geordi LaForge is sent to stop their mission. I will kick us off by sharing that I fucking love this episode. And I don't say that often enough about Voyager. But it falls into a Star Trek trope of like, this episode never happened. And so I lean into and respect that. Yes, Joel, in the comments, this is how you land the ship. 1000%. I love it for starting with the crash. I love it for not understanding the reference to multiple decks being compressed into one, like the idea that many of these people died by being squished, is kind of horrific but fantastical at the same time. And as much as I want to read Garrett for filth, like he actually does a pretty good job in this episode. There are a couple of moments where he kind of cries a little bit when he's like yelling and he's whining as he's getting emotional, and that kind of bothers me. But for the most part, he does a good job of being a tormented version of himself in the future that never happens. So I appreciate it for that. Chakotay's random girlfriend who's there to change time because she loves him. That's a weird introduction. Like I don't understand. This would have actually been a really fun way to bring Kes back, in my opinion. And not suggesting that happens, but if it did, this would have been a cool way for it to happen. Other than that, I loved LeVar directed this episode, so getting Captain LaForge was cool. But I always get disappointed when we see a captain's ready room on a monitor and it's obviously just the ready room of that particular show.
Yes.
Like I'm not the ship nerd that some of my sisters here are, but like that aspect of it drives me nuts when I'm just like, really, we couldn't spring for a different looking set.
It could have been any other wall. Like that's very clearly Janeway's ready room.
Just put him in Janeway's quarters and have the wall look different. The slope would be different, like something.
Yeah.
But yes, it's very obviously Janeway's ready room. But despite not always loving the trope of let's just reset time by time and then time fixes time, it's a fun romp. And so for that, I enjoy it. Sorry, Matt. I don't mean to I don't mean to mock the time, but I find it a little tropey but still fun, and I like rewatching it. That Seven saves the day by being dead. That's different because so far she's been saving the day just by being smarter than everyone, and corseted and having larger breasts than most humans. But it's nice that she saved the day by being dead. That was a hoot. I also really enjoyed Harry's message to Harry.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And the fact that we saw it being recorded but didn't know what he was recording. I'll stop rambling because it's a fun, but whoever wants to go next.
I see you.
Yeah. I like this episode. I mean, watching it again, it's really hampered by how bad Garrett Wong is in it. Like, no offense to him.
All offense, to him.
His acting in this was pretty bad.
He does sad well. He does everything else bad.
I wouldn't even say that. It was like they gave him a wig and he forgot what he was doing. Like it squeezed his brain or something. I don't know what happened. I was like,
who
what
among
are
us
you
hasn't?
doing?
Who
it's like, oh, I've been playing whiny ensign for 5 years, and now I have to play sad adult, and I don't know how to do it. Like it really just like shits on the whole episode for me, because I remember liking it when I saw it the first time. Like, oh, this is kind of fun. Like the visual effects being really cool. The time stuff was fun. But I was like, oh, watching it now, I'm like, oh, these performances are all pretty bad. Even the doctor is bad. Like everyone in this is bad. Like the acting just across the board is like pretty like mediocre to terrible. Like it was hard for me to watch it. I was like, anytime Garrett came on, I would like find myself on my phone or like getting a drink or like petting Walter, because I just didn't want to pay attention to the words that he was trying to force out of his mouth. But yeah, it just ruined the episode. I thought he was terrible in it.
Also, just what a bummer for Starfleet. Like, oh, you two made it? Okay.
Right. Like like the open of this is cool. It's like, oh, they developed this slipstream drive. That's kind of cool. Like, oh, they made this thing. Like they bet like the thing that the ship should be doing is like getting covered in exotic technology, right? Yes. It should be them like taking all this stuff and being like, look at this cool thing. Like,
and they explained that the Benamite was so hard to maintain. That's why they can't use it in short bursts because the Benamite.
Right. So like, whatever. Yeah, like seeing like there's like, oh, they're working on this so they could get passed on. They could get passed on it, but like, yeah, I don't know. It's fun, but like, yeah, that's the cool part about this. Like that opening with the ship and like all that was really fun. But yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
but
I agree. I do agree. I like this episode. I kind of wish they went more with the body horror, like because they smacked that ice planet hard. Like it would have been like Janeway just wasn't she just like sitting in the chair, like
no, she was on the stairs where she was just
right, like give me a snapped neck, like
give me an arm, like
like give me some real, like if Gates McFadden directed this episode, that's when we'd get some real body horror, just like in Genesis. But I agree with some of the commentary we've heard so far. It's a good episode. Chakotay's love interest, what a random curveball. Like I agree, Trevor, this would have been a great way to bring Kess back. Like it would have needed some explanation, but also like, or maybe not even, because like who cares? The point is, I do like that actress. I think she did a good enough job, but like it was just sort of like out of left field. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I think it would have been less out of left field if like a Reginald Barkley was the one helping them instead of a love interest for Chakotay. And y'all know I am not one to suggest we need more Reginald Barkley.
But Reg and Chakotay still make out at some point, right?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Okay.
That tracks.
Chakotay being a sassy gay, it like, again, plug for the Patreon. If you haven't seen our commentary, Chakotay being a sassy gay would have made his character a lot better.
A lot more interesting. So shall we show our thumbs for Timeless?
I'm also just going to say, on behalf of DTI, clearly they just let them do it because they were like, we're not going to fix this. We're going to, you know what? It's better if we roll the dice and see if Voyager comes back again. Like, let them handle it. Challenger's fine.
I love the Challenger. I love that it was named the Challenger also.
Mm-hmm.
I was vacuuming. I vacuumed during this episode. I didn't understand. I was like, I don't understand how this isn't a complete temporal infraction. I don't get how those rules apply, but they don't apply. Whatever. Okay.
It feels
vacuuming.
Yeah, it shouldn't have happened. The DTI should have come in and been like, no. You killed them. You get to keep them dead. But I think to Stan's point earlier, they were like, you know what? Maybe it's better if we just try to see if they can come back.
Maybe they saw what happened if Voyager and its crew didn't survive. And they were like, oh, maybe it's better if their crew survives.
I do have a whole DTI thing about the only exception in DTI is if it's to fight the Borg. Because they're like, you know what? We need all the help we can get. And they were like,
DTI is known by everybody. Well, you just tell me what that means.
The Department of Temporal Investigations. It's from.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's like the timeline people that are like, if you violate it, sorry.
Krista doesn't have time to talk about it.
Are they in the room with us right now?
Is the DTI?
They're monitoring everything.
In theory, yes.
That's what I'm thinking.
Season 5, episode 7, Infinite Regress. Voyager encounters a Borg device floating in space, like everything else, which causes 7 of 9 to exhibit multiple personalities, including that of a Klingon, a Ferengi, a Vulcan, and a human. Why the Google felt the need to list them, I don't fully understand. But what I do understand is that Joanne's going to kick this one off. So, Joanne, take it away.
Yeah. The multiple personality episodes always give me like, oh, what are we doing here? But I was glad that they kind of dealt with something that bothered me earlier, and just Naomi's whole sort of initial reaction to 7, like the Borg lady, and and that sort of thing, that they kind of fix that and tidy that up a little bit, was good. But why did the Klingon like have to eat? Like what? Anyway, that was just I couldn't understand that. I couldn't understand that. But once we get into the whole situation and they find the vinculum, I love the whole Borg of it all, right? That these aliens were like, we're gonna Typhoid Mary kind of the Borg and shut them down. And just the whole sort of dilemma with that, I thought was kind of interesting. Again, Voyager does what annoys me, and just, I don't know, it just kind of ends and they fix it and she separates, and I don't know. Though the endings to these episodes rarely satisfy me, rarely. But I did like, then she goes back and this is how she's like, oh, I'm going to help you become kind of the captain's assistant, because she realizes, Naomi's kind of into her and, appreciates the fact that, understands her. Like Naomi sees her probably better than anybody else on the ship. And I don't know, I thought that was sweet. the smart little precocious girl, leaning into probably who Seven very much was before, she was assimilated. Like, I like that a lot. So, the interesting I thought was very interesting. The end I thought was very interesting, but leading into this, I was like, oh, where are we going? But again, those are just my own kind of like, I hate these kinds of episodes, right? But I guess it's a chance for them to do their big one with their acting. So we'll see. But acting.
Mama.
Yes, I'm gonna eat a turkey leg like a dog. I just
Tess did it better.
I'm gonna scurry around like a Ferengi, and then I'm gonna try to mate with B'Elanna.
I'm gonna bite B'Elanna, although that was hot. But I'm gonna I don't understand how something tapping into your mental capabilities produce these physical reactions. Like, that was weird to me, right? But okay. So there you have it.
It's convenient, is what it is. It's convenience. It's like she's conveniently still Borg when they need to do something like this. Otherwise, she's mostly human. And it's like, well, again, it's the lemonating of all of it. Did it pluck my heartstrings that she was a Ferengi and she was chewing on a turkey leg? She's at a fucking Renaissance fair. No, it didn't. I didn't. It was like, okay, I'm done vacuuming. For that bot. I'm the negative one. I'm in the center box.
Oh, she was blocked. I think my struggle with this episode has nothing to do with this episode and has everything to do with the description. Like, in 2026, the Google is referring to her as having multiple personalities when dissociative identity disorder was called that prior to this episode even airing, yet it's referred to this 30 years later by the wrong name. Like, come on, Google. I'm just mad about the factual inaccuracies. Anywho,
well, it would have been interesting, but it's just
that is the best read of this episode ever. It would have been interesting.
It would have been interesting if it had been any other character that had trauma, that recognized their trauma, and this is how they facilitate their trauma. But it's not interesting because it is associated with the one person who's being told they're an individual and they're human and they have to behave as such on this spaceship. And then conveniently for this story, that's not what's happening. And it's like, it's convenient.
Show me your thumbs for infinite regress. Okay, it's a down. Try as I might. Okay. Season 5, episode 8. Sorry, dramatic pause. Nothing human. The doctor, at a loss on how to treat Lieutenant Torres, consults a holographic recreation of a Cardassian war criminal. Torres learns the identity of this exobiology specialist and refuses treatment, causing the doctor to experience a moral quandary. Krista, my spidey sense tells me you have feelings about this episode.
I do. I don't really care about that description because it's not what I'm interested in. What I loved about this episode was the theme of it. They're constantly questioning medical intrusion and the idea of scientific facilitation and medical facilitation and how you get this done. And it's very much along the same lines as not like what they did with Seven. Did they have the right to deborg her, to make her human? Do they have the right to do these things? And so I'm not many of the characters really resonate with me, but the themes that they're doing tend to be interesting to me, are the medical ones. And so for this one, what I liked was that the monster or the bad guy remains kind of undefined, because we have an obvious bad guy, but he's a hologram. So, and it's very like the ends justify the means. And it's sort of examining the whole scientific medical field in terms of, well, we got to break a few eggs, or do we have some medical, ethical, and kind of moral boundaries that we keep to? So I was getting I was feeling ethics from TNG. And the most meaningful scene for me in this episode was when the war criminal doctor hologram, which is really a hologram, cuts into the alien, and you can see the alien react to being cut into. And he turns to the doctor after the doctor says, "Hey, wait a minute, what are we doing?" And he turns to him and he says, "Well, he's just a hologram." And the doctor lets him continue. And then they sort of get real engaged in what the insides of this living thing look like. And so for me, this whole episode it's really easy to identify the Kardashian as the, for everyone with their merkins and shit. Ratchet. They're so ratchet. It's easy to identify him as the bad guy, but isn't the doctor a little bad for just standing there and not doing anything when they're cutting up this thing that is just a hologram? And I liked the fact that they made it even murkier, because it's not the real war criminal. It's a hologram of the real war criminal. So now you've got plausible distance. So you can kind of logic your way out of allowing certain things to happen. And so at the end, I was just kind of like, I think the point was that, like, who's the monster? Is it Janeway for forcing this treatment? Is it the Cardassian hologram who isn't the real guy, but is representative of the real guy? And if you do vengeance on him, is that really getting to the real guy? Or is that guy still in Venezuela living his best Nazi life? Like, it gave me it, and the excuses that we make to facilitate medicine, to facilitate scientific research and progress. It gave me Tuskegee, like this whole thing. It was really very, I know they were sort of basing it on Mengele, but for me, it was more Tuskegee, where you just think of something as subhuman. This is not the same as me, so I can do whatever I want to it. And in this sense, it's a hologram, so I can do whatever I want to it. And it's like, does that make you a monster, or does that make you valid? Or are you working within ethical parameters that you can live with? I liked all of the questions about it. And I liked that, as opposed to ethics in TNG, Worf got to do what he wanted to do. He stated what he wanted to do. He stated he wanted to take the risk. B'Elanna said, I don't want to fucking do this. I don't want this guy near me. I don't want him to touch me. I don't care that he's a hologram. She was very clear, and it was overridden. Does your captaincy extend beyond the autonomy of a human being or a sentient being saying, this is not for me. I don't care. I understand the risks and I don't want to do it. And it was more like B'Elanna lost the agency of her own body by virtue of the fact that she was a crew member to Janeway and a loved one to Tom. And it's like, but where is she in that? It was just multi-leveled, and I really liked it. Everything else seemed kind of prior to this was like randomly interesting, but sort of trite. But this one, I really struck me as kind of the crux of the problem we're having with healthcare now. And what do is it only the rich that can afford? Is it only certain people that are allowed to afford even unnecessary cosmetic surgeries instead of insulin and things like that? Like where are we? And sometimes it's kind of stunning to me how this series, 10 o'clock, how this series is really very representative of that fucking echo chamber we live in right now.
Yeah.
With hammers.
My, how we've changed. Yeah. I would have appreciated this episode more, I think, if instead of Janeway ultimately robbing someone of their agency, I think it would have been more fun if we had hologram version of this terrible researcher as opposing hologram who was some sort of brilliant linguist, and it was a competition between how do we physically remove this being or how do we make contact with this being and convince it that we can save both. And that was sort of I'm rewriting Voyager now because that I didn't start it.
That's what we're doing tonight.
I didn't start the fire. The world's been burning. But for me, that would have made a more interesting story than one that ended with me being like, "What the fuck, Catherine?"
Yeah,
that's where I landed.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think I love this episode for what y'all are talking about. There, we have a very alien. We have a communication episode. We have a medical ethics episode, all wrapped into one. And Christy, you hit it right on the head. There's American history that's terrible. There's German history that's terrible. Japanese history that's terrible. And we all currently still in ways benefit from those horrific experiments in our medical technology because that information was just adapted and used. And it's an interesting story to tell in a Star Trek lens. I also agree with the issue that I have with this episode is also Captain Janeway, but not that I don't agree with her. I think this is actually the more interesting let's debate Janeway's decision episode than Tuvik's. That was a little more cut and dry to me. This one, I still err on the side of Janeway's decision, but I would have liked, I think, for them to cut back this random crewman we've never met before, although he was very hot, and give more to that. Like maybe get B'Elanna back on her feet earlier and give more time to this discussion between B'Elanna and Janeway. Because Janeway being so dismissive at the end and be like, well, maybe your incense will get rid of these demons was not in her character, really. Touches of it, but it went, I think it was a little too aggressive because I think the Janeway from season 1 that was reluctant to have her as her chief engineer, I think would have said, I need you. Like, I understand how hard this choice was, and I understand you disagree. I need you to get this crew home, and so I made a choice that I know you disagree with, and that, like, that's the position that they find themselves in the Delta Quadrant. She has to make a decision that in the Alpha Quadrant, she probably would have been like, yeah, no, she dies because that's what she wants. But there was that layer to it that I wish they explored more in the episode, and we didn't get that. But I will say I liked the performance of the evil doctor. He played it well. Will, you came off mute, and then Matt.
Yeah, I've noticed a strange trend with this show where we know that the lead cast has to survive, right? So this is an interesting episode because it raises questions about the morality of this. But like we all know, the tension in my mind is always undercut by the fact I know they're going to survive because there's a reset button every week, whatever. But like Janeway has done this now. This is the 4th time she has made like a substantial medical based decision that removes autonomy from a crew member. She did it with Seven. She did it with Tuvix. Now she's done it with B'Elanna. So 4 crewmen have been affected by this. So like, what does that mean? Because they don't ever really discuss it in any meaningful way about how like these people are necessary. Neelix, yeah, and Neelix, yes, correct, thank you. And like how there's like, she has been making like basically as the captain is circumventing people's autonomy to keep them around because she needs a crew to run her ship to get them home. So like this isn't it's interesting that she does this, but like it seems to be almost a like how the technobabble in this show gets them out of like a scenario where they say, oh, we'll extend the warp field and blah 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 blah, and it's like, how the fuck are you doing this? It's because they need to find a solution to whatever problem they're in, and let's just create magic technology that does it. But like they also use Janeway as a way to go, oh, instead of solving this dilemma or letting this person die or let them leave or have them make a decision, their shortcut is Janeway makes a decision, it happens. Which is so, it's interesting that this round through, I'm like, oh, she makes this decision a lot. Where she goes, oh, no, you're having that procedure. Oh, no, you're surviving. Oh, no, I'm going to separate you two. Oh, no, I'm going to take this technology and use it. Like she goes, because you hold a function on this ship and you must continue to be on the ship. But like in the meta reality of it, it's like they're not going to kill off one of their lead actors in the show unless they need to replace them with another hotter version of someone. So like they don't ever do it. So like it's a weird thing that's what the crux of, that's their kind of their get out of jail free card, is to then have Janeway steal the autonomy from someone. But it's actually kind of upsetting that like her crew, these people have made decisions for themselves, and she's going, no, I've made a decision now. It's weird.
Yeah, let's go to Matt, then Joanne, and then Krista will bookend her episode and we'll vote.
And I will say, like, I stand to your point and Will to your point. That's actually why on rewatch on this one, I liked the ending with her and Torres, and I took it a totally different way because yes, she comes up, but when she first comes in, you can tell she's apologetic. She is there to talk. She's going to try to like get through this. And then when Torres shuts her down and says, no, I'm not there yet. Like, I need time. You violated my decisions. I'm done. And then you get that like bitchy Janeway that is out of her like normal, what like you said, it's like it goes against her character. The way I read that was that to me felt like one of the first time Janeway went, oh, I might have made the wrong choice. And she was getting defensive of like, to me, it was very like, you know what? I'm not going, I have other things that it goes back to Night for me, that Janeway doesn't process failure well. And it's like, she beat herself up. I made the wrong choice, Chakotay. I got us out here. And she was just lashing herself in it. And then with Torres, she had this immediate defensive, like, oh, nope. I'm not the problem here. You're the problem. Maybe these demons will get, and maybe this is just me reading into it, like, and projecting probably. Like, it felt very like, I'm going to be dismissive of this, and then I'm going to walk away, and this is now something that's going to sit with me. It felt like that with me, with the whole episode of her, like, not sure what to do, and then she makes the decision, and then Torres pushes back, and she's like, I'm pushing this out of the way right now because I'm not going to think about it because I have other things going on. But I think that it would sit with her.
I agree that it's sitting with her, but I can see where you're coming from with how her dismissiveness manifests, but I don't think it's oh, I fucked up. I think it's you should be grateful I made this choice for you. Joanne?
I do agree that it's the counterpoint tonight, but this is not the first time that she's made a bad decision and that she's aware of it. Like, this is, I mean, she's the Lemony Snicket of, just a series of unfortunate events, perpetually being the captain of team bad decisions, right? And that this is the residue, I think, or what it should have been without the reset button, is the residue of Night, in that she's over correcting now. Like, she's made all of these bad decisions and failed to get this crew home. So now she's going to go the other way, right? And do whatever it takes to get this crew home. Your autonomy, your agency, the prime directive, be damned, right? And I'm gonna put a little stand here too. Here's where holodeck rules, I think, need to come into play. The holodeck, you can't, the safety protocols keep you from shooting up somebody. The safety protocol should also keep you from being fucking specious or racist or morally vicious. Like, the holodeck should be like, up, can't comply. Why doesn't the holodeck have a fucking ethical subroutine? I'll die on this hill. So yeah, but Janeway is the captain of team bad decisions. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man, I completely disagree with you. I think that was a lot of fucking words, but really it comes down to, how do you reconcile your own monstrous impulse? And this entire episode was about reconciling the monster within you, the darkest things. If given opportunity, would you exercise them? And many people did in this episode, and I think that it's a very interesting thing to examine, particularly when it's examined in a multi-species way. But ultimately, I don't care what Janeway tells herself or whose incense is blowing. She overstepped her bounds. She overstepped, period. If a person is conscious and they say emphatically, I would be happy to receive treatment that did not originate or stem from this physician who mutilated and purposely abused his position of authority to inflict a massive amount of pain while sidelined coming up with vaccines and shit. I don't want any part of it. Then that should be sacrosanct. That should be sacrosanct. That's it. It's done. The conversation is over. So even going to B'Elanna's room, or quarters, was a ballsy, stupid move. And again, Joanna's right. She is the. Maybe she just needs to get laid. I don't know. This woman.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
No, it's not in the first 13. Close.
Let's see those thumbs for this episode. As I also say, it was weird that the doctor did not refuse to do it, given that he refused to.
But that's what I'm saying. He watched
in several other episodes. No, not in that, Krista. I'm saying
react.
No, not even that. Well, yes, that, but I'm saying he had a patient say, "I do not want this," and in several other episodes, that was his red line. But for some reason, not in this episode for the plot. Anyway, Trevor, keep us moving.
Season 5, Episode 9, 30 Days. Voyager discovers a massive ocean floating in space, populated by an alien species in trouble. And Tom Paris is accused of breaking with protocol. I'll kick this one off by sharing that I wish this had not been a Tom Paris episode. I wish this, I don't know who should have gotten this one, but it shouldn't have been Tom. It actually would have been an interesting B'Elanna episode. But I know we were just coming off of one that was a very
Or
B'Elanna
Harry.
episode. It could have been a Harry episode, but like, I don't. Whenever Harry acts defiant, it doesn't work. There's one exception, but like whenever Harry's suddenly Mr. I break the rules, it just doesn't float for me. But I liked the idea of an ocean planet. I realize it would have undone the entire concept of this episode, but I sort of wish that it had just been a planet devoid of landmass that had naturally occurred rather than this weird artificial construct that persisted for some weird reason. This could have been a flatter episode, Joel. You are correct in the comments. Thank you. After all, it was all about water. Perhaps this was the episode where Trevis died. Sorry, I don't mean to attack Trevis like that. But we're in season 5 and we're demoting Tom for being disagreeable. Why are we back to this? I feel like I don't know because I've not heard him. I don't remember the Delta Flyers episode where they covered this, but it feels like even Robert Duncan McNeil was like, "Wait, I'm rebellious again." Like, why? Like it comes through in his acting. The submarine of it all was fun. I liked making the Delta Flyer a submarine. That was cute. But other than that, this episode is a meh for me at best. Anyone else? Ooh, we're just moving right through.
I don't mind it because it was fun and it also was sciencey, but that's my 2 cents.
Fun and sciencey says it all.
You know, the Prime Directive is such bullshit. It's so fucking arbitrary. I mean, give me a fucking break.
You know what? Wait, Krista, you saying that?
Yes.
This is a great episode that they could have used the insurrection analogy of like, well, these people didn't create it, so they're not native to this ocean world, so we can just save it.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Thank God you meant Insurrection the movie. I panicked for a split second.
What? So I can't even believe you allowed the word to pass your wormy little lips.
Also, I hate to reference AI, particularly today, but we all know the Prime Directive is to dance. Season 5, episode 10. If you haven't watched the video on YouTube, it's a boot, but it's probably going to destroy the Earth, so don't watch it. Season 5, episode 10, Counterpoint. A Devore officer asks Janeway for asylum after he intercepts Voyager to search for 2 families of alien refugees who've been rescued by the ship's crew. Yes, that poorly constructed single sentence is the Google description of an otherwise pretty decent episode. Will, make it better than that one sentence, please.
Yeah, I like this episode. I think it's fun. I like the kind of layered storytelling, the backstabby stuff, how Janeway doesn't trust him. She's like, you a fuck boy, so I'm not trusting you. Like I like all of the kind of like the backstabby bullshit. It's like, oh, she's into this. Like, it was just like, oh, Janeway is kinky. She likes to withhold. She's teasing. There's like, oh, they were fucking. So like, I'm like, yes, girl.
Yeah.
Like, in What's His Bucket is hot. I was like, I'm into this kind of like daddy situation. I'm like, yes. Like, do I wish she stayed on the ship? Also, yes. But I do like how she kind of like, oh, I knew you were fucking with me. Like, that shit's great. Because it makes her like, it makes Janeway smart in a way where oftentimes it feels like I make this joke on Mondays where it's just like, like Janeway's just like, fire a fucking torpedo at them. Like, she's just like, I don't give a shit, just shoot them down. Where this, she's like, I can't just attack them, but I'm gonna, like, it was fun to see her kind of use her feminine wiles and like manipulate this man and like not trust him and stuff. I don't know. I thought this was really fun. I thought it was camp. I thought it was like such a sleigh. So enjoyed it. And that little look she gives him when he's sitting next to her, she's like, oh, I don't know what happened. It's great. I love this episode.
The change in the music. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so good. Where she's like, "Ooh, got you, bitch." It was just like,
you need to relax. Computer, how about this instead?
Yeah,
but then
play
the
this
closing
music.
shot. The closing shot was just a tragedy. Like if you watch the last 3 minutes.
Because she kind of was like didn't want to do it. Like she was hoping that he wasn't.
Everybody on the ship is getting laid. Everyone on the ship is getting laid, and she's getting played and playing.
Yeah.
All of my medium uglies are getting laid, and yet I don't get anything. And then this hot fascist
fucking captain in the entire fucking franchise.
And this hot fascist comes on board and he wants to change his ways. He's seen the light. He believes in Starfleet's whatever, or maybe just me. I'm the Janeway. And then no. What a bummer.
Yeah. I kind of wish there was like he came like, I don't know. It does bum me out, but like, yeah. I love this episode. It's so fun to me. I like all the little stuff. And so for some reason when I watch it, I kind of this is one of those episodes where I black out what the episode is, and I start watching it and probably think, oh, it's this one. Like I remember what it is. It's like Voyager has this tendency to like drop you in the middle of an episode and you don't get any like, you're like, oh, they're in the middle of this thing now. What the fuck? Like, you know.
It's also another one of those like, fuck the Prime Directive. We'll give you a shuttle, sure.
Yeah, bye. Yeah, right.
Where did those two shuttles go?
They have.
Yeah. I don't know. This is just like a fun one. It's fun.
Haven't we all asked that question at some point or another? Where did those two shuttles go?
But what about the shuttles?
I mean, in theory, they should be able to recreate those Type 2 shuttles on Voyager.
Like, in theory,
they have to keep building Delta Flyers. No.
So in theory, it was a TNG episode. Season 5, episode 11, Latent Image. The Doctor launches an investigation to find the person or thing that tampered with his short-term memory. Daniel.
Yeah.
Be less enthusiastic.
I want to like this episode more than I do. I think Robert Picardo gives an excellent performance. I love him in Starfleet Academy. I love him in person. His activism is incredible. I love that he claps back on trolls. I struggle with him a lot in Voyager because I think they err on arrogance and creep. I cannot wait to hear from the ladies in a couple of next week and then the following weeks with his burgeoning relationship with a certain former Borg drone. This episode, the basic logic of this episode is something I struggle with. Call me a heartless bastard. I don't see the choice that he made.
You're a heartless bastard.
Thank you so much. Being that hard of a decision. You've got two people who have the same thing going on. You can only save one of them. One of them is a senior officer and one of them is a random crewman we've never met before. And yes, like even putting in the audience, like I know how heartless and awful that sounds, but like in the circumstances in which they find themselves, their mission is to get home. He cannot save both. You have to make a choice for who has more. I am cringing at myself saying this out loud, but like, who has more value to the survival of the ship and the rest of the crew? And like, we don't like, this is another thing about Voyager and the reset button that doesn't work for its own show and the premise. If we had known this person beforehand, if Lon Suter had not been killed off and this had been him, if this had been Carrie, like an engineer, the number 2 in engineering, or Harry Kim, like I know how awful this sounds. I can feel the comments now.
It doesn't. I'm going to help you because I refuse to believe that combat triage is not part of a subroutine that exists within the Doctor. So this never should have been a problem in the first place.
These are literally their rules. Harry's a bridge officer. These are literally their rules.
Yeah.
Literally.
It needed to be
the biggest plot hole of this entire thing.
Something needed to affect his program to make this make more sense.
There's a rule book so large it probably takes up several pads. And in them, there's a chapter for doctors who face this situation. It's in pad 3. Yes, to be continued on pad 3.
There it is.
Yeah.
If the reset button didn't happen, nothing human should have broken him.
Oh, yes.
That's
because that ain't in the pad.
Because that ain't in the pad.
Yeah. He should have refused to do that.
And the ethical subroutine that is clearly absent, right, went bonkers. Yeah. That's what broke him, or that's what should have broken.
Okay, I want to say one thing about this episode though. When we're talking about Starfleet Academy, and you think about like, oh, he had that. There's that one comment that he makes, and I am stuck on this, where he says he debated himself into existence. And everyone's like, oh, author, because he had to debate that he was like, because when he's telling the cadets, like, debate is part of, healthy, whatever. I forget exactly how it frames it, but he says, the direct quote that he says is, I once debated myself into existence. This is the episode. Don't get me wrong, huge plot hole. This should have never been an episode. Sorry, she died. Oops. Like, it happens. How many others have we lost? You also shut the door on 2 that were. Yeah, that's happened already, right?
Yes.
Yes, but it was undone.
Well, kind of, sure. But he should have unraveled him.
Definitely DTI. It was definitely undone.
Yeah, okay.
Get your time bullshit right.
Well, we
don't have time.
We don't have time to argue about time. No, but seriously, this to me was, I think the ending of this was fantastic, where he does have to, this is the first time we really get to see him as a human, like, have to struggle with this himself. And it's not just a program that is dictating it for him. Like, he has to go through this himself as a growth process. And I loved that. And obviously he didn't specify, but I like thinking that this is what he meant by he had to debate himself into existence, because he had to argue with himself of, was this the right thing to do? Was this the wrong thing? And I think it should have, to Joanne's point, that was a much better episode to call on for this same basic principle of, like, did I do the right thing? Should I have not done that? My programming isn't equipped with this, but now I am being thrust into this because I've been on as a human, as a person. How do I reconcile this? And I think that was a really interesting thing at the end of this. And I obviously loved Janeway. He's yelling at her and she goes, no, I have to be here.
He didn't do the right thing because he should have just read pad 3.
Yeah, I think this episode is interesting because I agree with everyone that, like, the situation that causes him to have this kind of malfunction is ridiculous, and kind of creepy, to be honest. That, like, this should have had more connective tissue to Nothing Human. That, like, there's something happening with his program where, because he's been on for so long and functioning, and his programming has been expanding, that he is moving beyond what a hologram is. That we talk about this before. Like, there's a few times we've done this where, like, oh, he's more advanced and it's like fucked up the computer or whatever. He's had, like, technical difficulties. But what does that have? How does that start to affect his, like, ability to, like, maybe now, like, he's able, those ethical subroutines, maybe he's able to not decide against them. Like, maybe they're not as firm, not that they're, like, he makes a decision now.
For him anymore.
Yeah, he's developing free will. And in a way that's the debate he's having, is he is coming into, he's being given free will. So what do you do with that now? And, like, there's that line that's in Nothing Human where Evil the Mangala says, oh, it's just a hologram. And he's like, but what does that mean to me? And then we see it in this episode that they are like, oh, we just took this out. And he's like, don't do that. So like there's more of this ethical thing that happens. That's very interesting. That there's the setup is poor, but the kind of question, the ethical thing it asks is interesting.
It builds,
but it doesn't.
vengeance.
Yeah, and like that autonomy that like Janeway again makes a decision to makes a medical decision for someone, and something that they are now autonomous and have free will and can make these decisions. That like she decided, oh no, we're just going to remove that from because you're a hologram.
Janeway really does come in and just go, no.
Yeah, and I think that's her prerogative as the captain to be able to make the like, at a certain extent, override the decisions of her crew. But the thing is these people can't leave her. If they want to get home, they can't transfer to a different ship. Exactly. So like, I don't know. It's an interesting, it's an interesting like question. I just don't think the episode again doesn't go far enough into it, and there's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. There's no repercussions to Janeway for behaving like this. And we've had like 4 episodes in a row this season.
She had to sit in that ugly chair at the end of the episode.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know why, but
in
that
every
chair,
episode.
That chair sticks with me. I don't know why, but that chair really bothers me at the end of it. Like you're in the holodeck and you pick the ugliest, most uncomfortable looking chair to look after your friend.
She looks uncomfortable in it. The whole time she's just like,
it's like $250 on Wayfair.
It carries the stench of Dickens. Here's the thing though. Isn't this the episode in which she says, in addition to just taking things away from him, she was also the one that bestowed him with the freedom to expand. She was the one who decided to. So it's kind of like, hey, come to our country and
do what I say.
And now we're going to expel you. It's again, it's the echo chamber. It's this constant echo chamber of these sort of moral lacking in moral and the intentions not being able to stand up to what the ends are.
Intention.
And it also like proves how good at gaslighting Janeway is in this episode, where she was like, what you need to go back and I'm gonna look into this and I'm gonna make sure. And then she's just like,
but the whole ship was doing that. It wasn't just Janeway, it's the entire.
She was gaslighting the other people too. Like there was a couple people that knew, but like Harry didn't know, and she didn't pull him aside and be like, hey, by the way, don't say this. She was just like, nope, I got this. We're not gonna talk about it. We're not going to have a crew meeting about this one.
There's the right way, the wrong way, and the Janeway. I would like to see your
middle ground of the Janeway.
I would like to see your thumbs for latent image, por favor.
I
feel like it loses points for that fucking chair.
Negative 400 points at the end of this.
Stench of shame and Dickens.
Season 5, episode 12.
Dun, dun,
Bride.
Oh, we got
Chaotica. Chaos erupts when aliens from the 5th dimension interpret Lieutenant Paris's Captain Proton holonovel as reality.
Dun, 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 dun.
Krista.
Dun dun dun.
Go off, girl.
You know how I said I liked the Dick episode, the Andy Dick episode.
We're familiar with you enjoying Dick.
It was just the levity. It was stupid. I love this episode. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so campy. It's so over the top. It's so Flash Gordon. It's
not the boorworms.
It's
no, the bullworms.
Perfect. It's down to like the cardboard robot Halloween costume with Harry Kim having to keep putting his arm down because he keeps wanting to touch him. I mean, it's lovely. The thing, and I'm not gonna lie, I was vacuuming. And I stopped my vacuum because I actually thought that Chaotica was Dennis O'Hare, who I absolutely love, and I am traumatized to find out that it was not Dennis O'Hare. Do you know who I'm talking about? You don't know who I'm talking about. Anyway, I loved the campiness. I loved the over the top. I loved the rolling R's. I loved Janeway trying to walk in that outfit. I loved the pheromones. I loved
uncork your pheromones.
I beg your pardon.
I loved everything about it because it was so multi-level stupid. And like Paris trying to describe like it's a death ray, and everyone looking at him like, this is what you fucking do with your time. This is what you do. Yeah, she's the spider.
Janeway throwing shade at him was great.
I mean, it was just, and then it was who's going to play Arachnica? What was the name?
Arachnia.
Who's going to play Arachnia?
Queen of the spider people.
Oh, we'll have Seven do it, and they're like, no, let's have you do it. And then she was so clearly sort of into it, but also uncomfortable. And then the pheromones, and then just the press the button. No, not that button. The other button. It was stupid.
The confinement rings quickly.
It was, and the confinement rings, and like the foil.
The hologram phaser hitting her, and her going, "Ha! You're no match for Arachnia."
I mean, it was so awesome because it was so stupid. It was not meant to be taken seriously, but really the highlight was them looking at him going, what do we need to do? And him explaining the details of this hologram, and then just looking at him like, are you 10? Like, and also he has that like little boy haircut now. I don't know why they did that to his hair, but they made him, and so it was all just so perfect. And Harry in it with him, like, this is stupid, and Tuvok showing up, and then gangster guys, and like, who even understands what's happening?
We're being pulled deeper into subspace.
It was so stupid. I loved it.
Janeway is not a size
heavy.
6 also.
There's nothing heavy about it. Every fucking episode in this series is heavy. Every episode has, it's like, I just give me a bath. All of your.
Tell me how to deactivate the lightning shield.
Exactly.
The way she's holding that ray gun, it takes me out. I'm just like, I'm gonna.
It's a stupid design. It's not her fault.
It is. No. It is. But
it's just all cardboard. It's like exactly what you would make for 6th grade Halloween. It is literally everything about it is so perfectly ham-fisted that
the whipping of the microphone.
Yeah. How do you not love it? It's stupid. And the robot keep wanting to touch Harry. And Harry putting the arm down every time.
I mean,
in the same way as them pushing dead Romulans out of chairs onto the floor was funny.
Listen, at the time, I was also like the robot.
Problematic gay alert.
Wait, something that always takes me out of this episode is it's one of those like the actor is just doing business while they like think that they're off on the side. He keeps tapping the analog clock as if it's
yes,
like like that's not like it's not doing anything, Harry. It's so funny to me. It's like I wonder if the Trek actors talk to each other about this kind of thing, like the 90s Trek and the current Trek, because the current Trek, like they have the technology that like that shit does things. You actually tap a button and it'll like the display will whatever. I wonder if they talk to each other about that, because in the 90s they were like, oh, the camera won't see this. I'll just tap this analog clock. Tell me how to deactivate the lightning shield.
Harry just tapping the clock. Should we show thumbs for Bride of Chaotica? I think it's
the shield.
think it's euphemulous. And last, but certainly not least, season 5, episode 13, Gravity.
Certainly not.
Girl, are you new? Season 5, episode 13, Gravity. Tuvok's Vulcan training is tested when the shuttle he, Paris, and the Doctor are traveling in disappears. I mean, it does disappear, but it feels like there are several sentences missing from that description. Stan?
This episode is aptly named because what a dead weight on the season. I
see what you did there.
Thank you. I love Lori Petty. I think she's great. Tank Girl is
awesome.
I think I oscillate between it's awesome and it's so camp that it goes back to bad. But no, it's just camp, because camp is not bad. Camp is camp. I love her. She's fantastic in A League of Their Own and Point Break. I'm glad that we got her in Trek. I think her performance was lovely. The voice that she's doing is interesting. The universal translator not quite working. Like I do enjoy when that happens in Trek because it's a little too universal. It's a little too easy. Also, it's the biggest plot hole in Trek in a real world sense, because like you would be hearing your language, but my mouth would not be making those shapes. Like there is no subterfuge. Like it's just not possible. Like if you think about it too hard, all of Trek breaks down. The time distortion of it, like there were so many things happening in this episode, and like it just needed I think it needed another pass to make it like whatever. But Tim Russ and Lori Petty, I think like there is interesting chemistry there, and it's an interesting question for Tuvok. Like, I am married, I plan on getting home. He's the only one on the crew that we know, or him and Torek are the only ones who are potentially likely to be alive when the ship gets back, in theory, if it takes the full 75 years. So he fully expects to get back to his wife. And so this attraction he's feeling for this woman it's an interesting thing that he doesn't get to explore usually.
I think that's what would have made me like the episode more if he had explored it. If the time differential had caused him to be there for so long. It's been 5 years of this mission. They're stranded in a vacuole within a part of space that is already stranded them. Like, they're double stranded. So perhaps not giving up on the notion of ever seeing his wife again, but like just settling into the fact that this is his life now. Like, that would be great one day, but I do have feelings for you too, and we're stuck here. What does that mean? And just sort of doesn't mean they have to have a fantastically Vulcan hot romance. Maybe it does. I don't know. I didn't write the episode, but it would have been fun for him to explore it more from I'm actually interested in this perspective, as opposed to his very stoic, I get it, Vulcan, but very, I can't be into this perspective. It felt a little too Vulcan, and it would have been fun to see if he had sort of really questioned himself more and expressed an interest in her, and it evolved, as opposed to him just being sort of the wall, and then at the end you sort of feel like, okay, well, he probably liked her, but whatever. And the spiders were gross. Those are my thoughts.
But then there was the whole background story about how he, his first experience with, really crushing on a girl, and it didn't really work. I didn't really understand. First, you're married. Second, this girl is obviously interested in you. I'm not really, it's like, it was disingenuous as a reason for why he wouldn't pursue this. And again, it kind of goes back to what Joanne was saying earlier. Just can we not just tell the truth? Like, tell the truth to the kid, but tell the truth to yourself as well. This isn't about your 13-year-old crush. This is about the fact that in order to engage with this woman, you have to accept the fact that you might never see your wife again. And you're going to have to reconcile that. Is it cheating or not cheating? And that is a big emotional quagmire. So I agree with you. I think it would have been better if they had, it's 30 minutes is 2 days. They could have gotten a lot done in 30 minutes. I think it sort of loses something. It loses something for me in this franchise, that it seems that Beltran is the only one that actually gets to engage with the opposite sex on a almost 100% level, whereas everybody else has to do this pullback. Everybody else has to be, better than they are. Like these constraints on them, it doesn't make sense. It would have made more sense for him to go ahead and engage.
It's more logical because Hope isn't. He's hoping to the feelings that he has for his wife aren't illogical, and the loyalty is not illogical, but the idea that they're going to make it home
is illogical. Exactly.
And if he did, the wife, I forget her name. I hate referring to her as the wife, but his wife, not understanding would be illogical. So everything about it is to Joanne's point in the comments, giggity, girl, get it on, do your thing.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Why not?
Stick it in, have a good time.
But this is the kind of stuff where they go right to the line and then they back off. Likewise, I think it actually would have been more interesting if Janeway had slept with I know that Will and I think that they were fucking, but I think it should have been a relationship. I think that would have been better. We're in 5 years. We're halfway through season 5.
For audio only listeners, Krista is making wildly inappropriate hand gestures.
I'm not. This is
with a degree of force that is both disturbing and erotic all at the same time.
I'm really trying to like this series. I really
Joanne
honestly, Krista, you're doing a great job. You're only coming unraveled mostly.
Show me your thumbs for gravity, y'all.
I like that.
All right.
Well, that's nice, Benji. No one else did.
I semi enjoyed it. It had its moments. All right, that's it. That is the conclusion of part 1 of season 5 of Star Trek Voyager. Daniel,
Trevor,
what?
Deactivate the lightning shield.
I wish I were holding something so I could do it all wrong. For part 1 of season 5, there were 6 thumbs ups, which might be a record. I'll have to look back. 4 thumbs sideways, and 3 thumbs downs. So congrats, guys. We like Voyager this much more. For audio only listeners, I held my thumb and index finger very close together. There were 3 problematic gay alerts. There was 1 canon alert. Krista doesn't believe in a stun once. Krista told Matt no twice. Stan almost agreed with Matt once. I gave 500 bonus points to Matt for that dope ass read in the pre-show. Bitch, you know what I'm talking about. 5,000 bonus points to Will for offering Garrett all the notes. 69 bonus points to Will for clocking Catherine's kinks, and an unprecedented additional 100 bonus points to Will for daring to ask the question, can you put it back in after you take it out? 79,000 bonus points to Krista for calling bullshit on Seven's Ren Fair nonsense. 79 additional bonus points to Krista for clocking Smelly Dickens. 100 bonus points to Krista's vacuum for sucking less than several of these episodes. DS9 bonus points to Benji for defending Janeway's grip. 700,000 bonus points to Joanne for being dissatisfied by the vinculum. An additional 900 bonus points to Joanne for stating the nature of the ethical emergency. An unprecedented shared 1,000 bonus points between Joanne and Krista for duty. 1 million bonus points to Catherine Janeway for thriving in chaos and therefore belonging to the Salon. And I took them all away from Catherine Janeway for being the agency cop.
Sit with that for a minute. Y'all, we did it. We got halfway through season 5. Get excited, y'all. Our thanks to everybody in the chat for joining us and being as lively as ever. For those in the audio format following along, you can join us in the chat on YouTube live Thursdays, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. We are at Salon Trek, wherever you get your podcast nonsense, and on social media and Patreon at The Salon Trek over on Instagram. Following us in all these places, commenting on our videos, sharing them, retweeting really helps us grow. We appreciate it. So thank you all for joining us. Trevor.
If you have joined us at any tier on Patreon, please note there is a poll currently in place for you to select our July bonus episode, because we asked friend of the pod, Kirsten Beyer, what episode she would like us to cover, and she gave us 2. So you get to pick between Kirsten Beyer's favorite 2 episodes that she chose for us to cover in July. And if you join us at the $5 level or higher, you actually get to watch that bonus episode. So, yeah.
Will and I will be back Monday night at 5:30 p.m. Pacific for a Tuvixed Salon Across the Unknown, because bonus, we got rid of Neelix, I guess.
Wait, how does that? I thought you killed Tuvok. How is Tuvix still there?
You know what, DTI? Nobody
Plot.
needs your bullshit right now.
Plot.
Okay.
Don't worry about what happened.
Nothing. We
use our reset button.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
did you file a report for that?
He died last season. God, keep up.
Yeah.
I forgot it reset.
The famous Voyager reset came into play, and we have 2 Balanas Tauri and a Tuvix. So it's a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other kind of situation going on.
That's how many I'm seeing right now.
And we will be back next Thursday to conclude season 5 of Star Trek Voyager. Please join us at Salon Trek and all of the places. Until then, uncork the pheromones and deactivate the lightning shield.
All hands abandon ship. Proceed to the nearest evacuation zone immediately.
Well done. Janeway out.
Mean.